order the regular meeting of the Carrabelle Community Redevelopment Agency. It's Tuesday, July 16, 2019, 1:30 p.m. We're at the Carrabelle City Hall. I'll ask Commissioner Allen to please say a prayer, and then we will say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Would you stand?
Our God and Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we can come together today and deal with these things that pertain to this wonderful, beautiful city that you've given us. We ask you to be this with wisdom, that we might accomplish the most good. We're concerned, Father, for those that have lost their lives in recent years because of the disasters that come our way from time to time. Help us to recover our great country and all the things that need to be done. In His name, amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, for roll call, we have Mr. Hartman, attorney, Russell Large, engineer, Ms. Courtney, our director and administrator, Commissioner Allen, Rob Powis, Mayor LaPaz, Commissioner Walden, Commissioner Millender, and our city clerk, Ms. Keisha Messler. And so I will call for approval of the minutes. We had the January 15 minutes was circulated to us last month, so we had that to review. And the April 16th minutes just got out this morning. I don't know whether I should make a motion or can I make a recommendation? Because I know that myself and Commissioner Millender didn't have time to review the April 16th minutes because we were in a meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, do we have a second?
I'm sorry, are we approving both months or just one month?
I don't know, I guess Commissioner Allen, I don't know what he...
Both of them.
Okay. All right, do we have a second to approve both minutes, April 16th and January 15th? Okay, that was the second call. We don't have a second. Motion dies.
Motion to approve the January minutes.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the January 15th minutes. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. Okay, so we have that motion by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner, Mr. Rob Powis. Is there any discussion?
I did look at the April 16th minutes, and it said that we had already approved the January minutes. So why are we doing it again?
We tabled the January minutes.
No, yeah, there was a motion on table.
Right.
Because we didn't get to review it last time, because it came out on the same day as the meeting.
Right.
So is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor to approve the January 15th minutes? Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, and then that motion carries. So I guess then what we're going to need now is a motion to table the April 16th minutes until we can get an opportunity to review that.
I motion to table the
April 16th.
April 16th minutes until we've had the opportunity to look at it.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a motion. I don't like to be in the habit of making a motion, but evidently at the last meeting, Mr. Hartman said the mayor can make a motion. All right, I would like to motion for the CRA minutes to, from now on, be circulated simultaneously with the CRA agenda. And do we have a second?
A second.
Okay.
Question?
Well, discussion, how about that?
Yeah, discussion.
Okay.
Same thing.
All right.
When are the minutes normally sent out?
I usually try to have them out by Friday with the agenda.
I said that wrong. When is the agenda normally sent out?
Courtney sends that out on Friday.
Friday before the meeting?
If I have it earlier, I'll send it out.
And I try to have it in. There's certain circumstances that I don't get them in, so it happens. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
On further discussion, I will say that our last minutes for the CRA came out on the same day as the CRA meeting.
And most times I have family emergencies.
And if we would have the minutes transcribed a little bit in advance, then if there is an emergency, which we understand there are emergencies, and we certainly understand about the emergency yesterday, but if the minutes are transcribed and ready in advance, then there is no issue with them being circulated with the agenda as they are for all other boards that I sit on. Mr. Cal Allen has sat on these boards, the ARPC, the TDC. He hasn't sat on the Restore Act board, but minutes generally, it's custom for minutes to come out with the agenda packet so that the board members have an opportunity to review the minutes and not be bombarded that same day. The minutes are legal documents and they need to be correct, and sometimes all of us make mistakes and we do get the, may get the date wrong, or anything can be wrong on them. They may be labeled agenda when it should be minutes. We might transpose who made the motion, who didn't, who made the second. So as Ms. Keisha said, she does, make mistakes from time to time, as do I. But I think it's a good best practice to have our minutes with our agenda. And that's
As they usually are.
okay.
You want to call?
Call for a vote. We had discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. All right, Ms. Courtney.
Okay, progress on the reimbursement of the land water conservation grant. We checked with Ms. Tamika Bass with DEP this later last week. And the holdup is because it's a federally funded grant that it has to go back to the feds for approval, and she's still waiting to hear back from that. But she says once they give approval, it's normally 2 to 3 weeks. So she says it could be any time. She didn't expect it to take this long. The progress on the FEMA reimbursement for repairs to the Coast Guard dock and the 12th Street Fishing Pier. The Coast Guard dock, the repairs have been made, and I'll submit those for reimbursement. I'm still working on the repairs to the fishing pier. The trees have got to come out of there, and it's going to take someone with a crane truck, and probably not anyone that we have here locally is going to have the equipment to get that out. But I'm still working on getting the 12th Street Fishing Pier done, but the Coast Guard dock has been completed. We need to plan to schedule a meeting with David Myrick to discuss some of the issues that we have with the landscape on 98 in the CRA district. So is there anybody just want to schedule that for a special meeting? Or?
I was thinking you and I could meet with him, and then we could do the report, and then Commissioner Millender has something I believe he wants to say.
I have a question on the 12th Street Fishing Pier. Do we have a deadline for FEMA on that? Okay.
I mean, it's like 3 years or something like that. I mean, it's plenty of time. We're not
to
going to
get the bid in,
Yeah.
So no, that's a good question. No deadline to
No,
submit.
it's like 3 years, but we've already submitted the project, and that's what our deadline was for, was the submittal of the project. So I think they give you like 3 years to get the work done, and we're not going to take that much time. And you and I will plan a meeting with Mr.
I
Knight.
did, just to let you all know, I had Miranda pull his invoices back to early 17, and I reviewed all of those, what he's charging us for, and then we redid his contract. I think it was in 17, somewhere right in there when Russell drew up the specifications. So, we're trying to put together exactly what he's charging for, because it seems like there's a spot or two that's not being maintained, so.
Mr. Byron?
Yes.
Yes. I love the landscape. I have a comment. I love the landscaping, but the 67 deal, you can see around it where you come out of 67 on to 98. And I say you can see around it, but it is difficult, especially if the plants have any growth on them. They're pretty plants, and I'm not suggesting that we get rid of them, but if we could somehow with pruning, proper pruning, clean that up just a little bit to reduce that block visibility, because it's a safety hazard as well.
He has been made aware of that. He said that he would take care of it.
And I think, the reason why I bring that up, because I think that's part of his contract, is
To
to
maintain.
maintain that.
And it's them large lilies,
Yeah.
which he says are hard to prune, but he said that he would figure something out and that it would make it would be noticeable.
And I agree with that. I think it is tedious or touchy to prune, but I'd rather do that than I had, dispose of the plants. But where we may have a possible safety concern there, we need to try to get them to address that if we can. That's my opinion.
And the way they term it on the DOT is the line of sight, it's got to be, so we
That's
want
right.
to open up the line of sight.
right.
And we don't want to end up having DOT's contractors come down and just chop them down.
And we don't want to unduly have someone pull out in front of someone else and
I
get
know.
injured or killed.
But he is aware of that. We have had that conversation.
We have, and I know. and
I
just
have
wanted-
with him also, and
Right.
he and I have had that conversation.
Are they blooming?
No, I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of right now.
They're just really big.
Do what?
They're just really big.
They're
They
Right.
are, they're growing, yeah, and they're pretty.
All right.
So we're looking at scheduling a CRA workshop day with August the 13th, and that would be to go over our budget stuff. I'm proposing to go over the budget in the morning, and in the afternoon, we'll come back and do the workshop for the expansion of the CRA.
It's August the 13th.
August the 13th.
I had those 2 dates that you'd sent out, on the 6th or the 13th, I believe. But we gonna go with the 13th?
If that works for everyone.
Good for me.
Like I said, it'll be a day, we'll do one in the morning and one in the afternoon, maybe break for lunch and come back, or maybe try to have lunch here, but we'll see what we can work out.
Do you have a time set up for the morning?
10:30 for the morning, 1:30 for the afternoon.
I made some good maps for that right here. Thought I forgot to bring them. If we can get Keisha or Courtney before everybody leaves, to make a copy of these, then everyone will be able to see. It came off our GIS map off the CRA website, and then everyone, they're real good maps where you can see the CRA district and all the areas surrounding. So, y'all can look at that and make your drawings on it, or if you need another copy or something, they can copy
I
it.
suggest before the workshop, everyone ride around through that area and know what we're talking about.
That's a good idea.
Now, I didn't go out to Baywood Drive, although it needs sadly repaired terribly. I don't know, I didn't get the impression that we were wanting to expand out that way, but certainly don't leave it out of your thoughts if you want to go that way.
I read on it recently, and it's
It's terrible.
I can either have them printed or I can scan them and email them out.
I've got them in digital too, so I can send that to you too. They might want them in hard copy where they can draw on it. So. Okay.
We got the review of the CRA budget year to date. And I have that in front of everyone.
And I just had one question about the old Coast Guard dock. It has barnacles on it. The contractor said, how do we get those off?
Mr. Godfrey said, I talked to him yesterday, and he said he wrote it off so that they would dry out. He said that once they dry out, that normally they'll just come off themselves. They'll just pop loose.
Is that right?
I had looked at it, and Courtney and I talked a little bit about it, and I think my experience, that's accurate. They dry out, they rub off pretty easy, and most of it on the walking surface has already, either someone's rubbed it off or it's rubbed off or whatever with it. It's been rubbed off because of the barnacles, but when they dry, they look like they were pretty dry.
That's
and
what
it's
he
easy.
said, they dry out and they pop
You
off
can take-
themselves.
Yeah, you can actually take, just hypothetically, the inmates could go there with a little, yeah, and they'll pop right off.
All right.
Yeah, they clean that up pretty easy.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why he said he rubbed it off, just so it could dry out.
All right.
nobody was down there on it, but like Tony said, when he looked at it, it looked like it had already been,
On the
On the
walking
walking
surface,
side.
yeah, it looked like some of it had, most of it been rubbed off. There's still pretty good barnacles hanging on the rails and what have you, and that would rub off pretty quick, especially as hot and dry as it is right now.
mhm.
And just to add to that, if I may, the wooden part of the end of that section we're talking about, it looks like it needs pressure washing. It looks, didn't go out there on it, but it looks slimy from, no use on it.
Okay,
It looks like it may need pressure washing to take that slickness off from it.
I can get that taken care of.
That's all, man.
Okay, that's fine, okay, Ms. Courtney, then we'll move
I read
ahead.
the review of the CRA budget year to date, and I have that in front of everyone. This is just our budget, I think our actual operating expense as of, was it June, or July the 8th? July the 8th, and then our projected expenses, and the last column would be what we were over or under in each one of those line items. Do y'all want to go through that line item by line item, or do y'all have any questions?
I'll go through it with them real quick here. Down at the end there, you see it's in red, so that's going to be a deficit on the last column. But we do have a surplus there under the utilities. I guess we're, our water bills are down some. And Mr. Myrick monitors those. Since we've had so much rain, he turns them off from time to time. So maybe looks like we have a surplus there. We'll have a little bit of surplus under maintenance and repair, maybe, because we don't know what's coming up. We never know. And then a surplus under the legal counsel and engineering consulting fees. But then there's another, the Riverwalk rehab there, you see that's a deficit, and when we went to close out, that was for the Thurman Roddenberry survey that was had to be done with the closeout paperwork, and the administrative fee was $5,000 to close out. So that wasn't in the budget for this year, and that's why that shows up like that. But as it sits, it's a $7,364 surplus, but we may have more. This end item, this end column was not calculated with the surplus that you see on the column next from the right. So, yes, sir.
We're still gonna have expense left to close out this year.
Yeah, you still have some.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna have
We're
some
still-
time to close out, yes.
And we're still probably gonna have some on Avenue B.
Hopefully not.
Yeah,
But
hopefully not, but-
here, this third column, that's the projected expenses using the actual year-to-date, and then the expenses projected out to the end of the year, right there. That's where how that $7,000 came out. That's a projected surplus after the projected
If everything
expenses were
goes as
calculated.
like it's been going.
But to note, as Courtney said, the grant, Land and Water Conservation Grant hasn't reimbursed, and they're waiting on the National Park Service to approve the grant reimbursement paperwork. And as soon as that happens, then the state side will take 2 to 3 weeks. So we don't know when the national side is going to come in. And I'll just go ahead and say it might have to happen that the general fund has to front this money so that we can pay our bills here.
But reimbursable to the general fund once we're reimbursed.
Once it comes back to the CRA, yes, sir, yes. It'll just be like I said, front of the money. So,
General fund's gonna be as tight as this budget.
I don't know, I'd love to see a general fund year today. Okay. Do y'all have questions about that? We just wanted to get you kind of set up for your budget workshop. Did you have anything else? Ms.
I'll just add that Miranda, on Avenue B project, year to date, we've only spent $177,434
I saw
and
that.
70 cents. That, you know, our projected project cost that Russell had gave us in the beginning was $550,000. And I think the reason for that is that everything, all the big items that were under the CRA were on the end of that, on that project, like the 4th Street drainage and the end from 3rd to 5th Street. All of those were mainly funded by the CRA, so I think that's why we're waiting, that's what the difference in the money is.
It's actually, I think, and I don't know if Russell, but this is a copy of his email Courtney got, and it's $310,519, $310,519 on the east end. And then the 65, is that also for CRA? Was that the CRA, the engineering cost?
Yes.
So those two amounts are still have to come, still have to be billed to us, for sure. Y'all have questions for Ms. Courtney?
Other than what we've already discussed.
All right, Mr. Hartman, City Attorney report.
All right, the mayor asked me to give a quick update on the most recent legislative updates that were passed into law this last session.
You guys have a 17-page report, you should have one on your desk.
Thank you.
And I'm going to summarize that real quick, just so you don't have to go through it in excruciating detail. But what it did in large part is it amended section 112.3142, which is talking about ethics and that sort of thing. And it expressly includes CRA board members and requires mandatory ethics training pursuant to that section of statute now. Beginning January 1, 2020, each CRA commissioner must complete 4 hours of ethics training each calendar year, and that training primarily deals with public records and public meeting laws. So that's what you would expect. And again, beginning on that date, you'll have to show proof that you've completed that 4 hours. Not necessarily by that date, but you need to then complete it before the next, I believe, annual report
Mr.
date.
Hartman, would you like for us to ask questions as you're reporting, or wait till the end?
You want to wait till the end? Then because it won't take long to get through it, and then we can drop
Is
back.
that all right with y'all?
Sure.
Okay.
Section 163.356 is an amendment to simplify the reference to the new annual reporting requirements under a new section that was created that we'll talk about in a minute. Then section 163.367 was amended and simply relates back to the ethics training requirement, making board members subject to the requirements of chapter 112. And then 163.370 requires the CRAs to follow the same procurement and purchasing requirements that apply to the city that created the agency. So we've primarily been, when I say primarily, we've been doing that, but we just need to continue to do that and be careful of that we basically just treat the CRA's procurement stuff the same as we would the cities. 163.371 are really, what it does is it's a new I'm sorry, it's not created new, but it is the reporting requirements for the annual report that we submit every year, and it creates a more detailed and enhanced list of reporting requirements for inclusion in our annual CRA report. And we'll talk about it, but I would recommend more involvement. We already have some from the auditor, but he'll be more involved than ever. Creates a section 163.3755 regarding termination of community redevelopment agencies, and it also talks about extension of them. And I know we had a vote on this already, but it talks about, just for everybody's FYI, which we have done, majority vote of the members of the governing body is required to extend the life of the CRA, governing body being the city, on that.
So we'll have to go, I'm supposed to wait.
That's fine, Go ahead.
All right, and this will have to, once, we did vote on that, but all of that's gonna have to be taken to the governing board.
Correct.
Okay.
And honestly, it's terrible that it wasn't that long ago we voted on it. We voted on it as a CRA board. I thought we did
I
do
think we were
something
gonna
at the
wait-
city level.
I think we're gonna wait to see about the expansion.
Yeah, yeah. But again, yeah, we want to probably duplicate whatever we do here at the city level as well. And then it created a section 163.3756 to deal with inactive CRAs. That doesn't apply to us, but they created that section. And then they amended section 163.387, which deals with changes to the redevelopment trust fund, basically the money that we are funded with through the taxes. It specifically requires compliance with the reporting requirements under 189.016, which is something that the auditor typically assists us with. It also clarifies and restricts expenditure of monies as set forth in the annual budget, meaning, which we've also been pretty good about, is that you need to spend the money as you say you're going to in the budget. You just kind of puts people in the box on that. The annual budget can include, and this is sort of new, the annual budget can include administrative and overhead expenses directly or indirectly necessary to implement a community redevelopment plan adopted by the agency. And I would think that relates back to where we were sharing expenses of some of our city staff. So that's administrative expenses that we, now under statute, it's very clear we can, the annual budget can include those monies we want to set those out in the annual budget and spend them accordingly. The other specifics include that funds appropriated for a project may not be changed unless the project is amended, redesigned, or delayed, in which case the funds must be reappropriated pursuant to the next annual budget adopted by the CRA. And we actually have, and that isn't going to be a big change for us either, that's what we do. We amend our projects and move money and sometimes bring money into the next year where the project's delayed or we've had an amendment to the project. But this, again, formalizes that. And then finally, it emphasizes and provides additional detail on audit requirements for the CRAs, and that goes back to Mr. Payne on the audit side. That would be something he'll take care of. And then finally, there's an amendment to section 218.32, which places a requirement on municipalities to include in its annual financial report to the state. Basically, when we send our annual financial report in as a city, we need to include the CRA financial report as well. So if we don't include the CRA report, our city report is deemed deficient and non-timely. So they're now kind of, they go together. We want to make sure we get them both done at the same time. And any questions?
Does that already?
It's in the actual financial report.
Yeah, good. So, and again, a lot of these we do. It's a matter of practice already. So we're ahead of the curve.
There was an entry in there that it used to have a date certain. I believe it was January 1999 or 96. Any CRA after that had the option of providing 95% of its increment revenues, paying that to the CRA fund, down as low as 50% of the increment revenues. Now they have scratched out. They've scratched out that date. Let me see, I think it's page.
Which section is it in?
I should have looked that up. I sent that to you, but.
Well, she's looking at, Dan, do they
I've
have to
got it.
have more additional hours, or was it they're 4 hours
No, sorry. You can.
for the commissioners?
Yeah, no. If you go to probably the regular commissioner training, like the elected officials, that should suffice. And I'll verify that, but it should, as long as
That's the way I read it.
yeah, it will. And
Well,
there is additional language that talks about if you're getting it from another source. It doesn't have to be CRA specific. It's just public records, public meetings,
Sunshine.
sunshine stuff.
Essex.
Yeah, I see it here in.
Okay.
Uh,
What page is that?
This is the thing. I'm looking at the way it was enrolled. So sorry. I actually worked off of a different document.
All right, that's
than the
fine.
same page. It's in the It's under section 163.3756. Nope, sorry. It's under 163.387. Is it, you talking about the governing body of any union?
Oh, thank you.
But that looks like, it talks about the governing body of any county as defined in 125. However, the governing body may,
11 and 12, on back of 12.
That's what he said, 163.387.
it starts with however,
Yeah.
and makes it more general, so it applies to cities and counties.
Oh, it's on the bottom of page 12.
And it looks like it would let us adjust how much of the increment we take.
But I'm certain if we wanted to, and that would be the governing board, that the body would have to, decide that. So if the governing, for example, if the governing board wanted to say, I'm going to ask this in the form of a question, if the governing board wanted to say, Dan, they wanted to donate, contribute 50% of the increment tax value, 50% of the increment in revenues, then would the county be obligated to not have to contribute any more than 50% as well? I would think that the county wouldn't have to contribute any more than the state. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's this, that you can play around with it between 95 and 50. The question would be, I get why a county would want to do that, right? Because it's always interesting that counties can set up CRAs. So you're not getting the advantage, I don't see, that we are. Meaning we're getting essentially money that we'd otherwise send to the county, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting, certainly the city is, also there, but we're getting county money, essentially. We're saving that so we can spend it in the city. Why a city would give back that money after declaring a CRA to the county, I don't know why. It defeats, there may be a reason why, and it may be, an interlocal issue or something.
Now, I will say that I've communicated with the manager in Appalachian, and he just didn't understand why. He wanted to see some of our paperwork, how we figure our increment values that we're paying into the CRA, and he didn't understand why, but I understand now. They were incorporated CRA, established in 2006, so they were able to take of this or use this entry here because they were created after July 1994, and he says they contribute only 50% of the increment value. The taxes that are the increment revenues that are calculated from the increment value, compared to where we contribute 95, they've been contributing 50%.
Yeah, and that's interesting. What you said
Because they've taken that option.
is, could we give ourselves a break and not the county?
I would think so.
Well, it
Maybe we
says
can.
by ordinance, so we would have to amend our
Yeah.
own ordinance. That doesn't necessarily mean they would amend theirs, though, would it?
That's interesting. I don't know the answer to that. I could find out, or we could give ourselves a break and still take full county, take the 95% at the county level, 50% at the city level.
Ms. Westmoreland could help.
She always can. I can
And that would
ask
be
about
free.
that. I'll ask about that. I'll report at the workshop.
Okay.
But this is in effect now?
This is
Yes.
2020.
Yes, they made it more general, so it looks like.
I think it's January 2020.
That's when the requirements come into effect.
But we couldn't do it before then because we were.
Well, we
before
could
that.
because,
We were before the July 94.
no, but we can because they
And that's
struck
out.
it. They struck it.
Right, so as soon as this is in effect.
Yeah.
That's right, October 1. That's right. Yeah, sorry, and all of that goes in effect October 1, 2019.
All right, then, I had a couple of other questions. on the ethics, I know that it reads commissioners in here, CRA board commissioners, but does that include appointed members, Mr. Powers?
Yes.
I was gonna ask the same question.
Oh, yes.
It does.
You need your ethics training, Mr. Bowes.
That's the way.
Everybody needs it.
They're using the word commissioners as.
You're a commissioner on this board.
And they offer them free all the time. They're free a lot of places.
Yeah, they are. Or now, if
And
you
they
have
should
to-
be filling out Form 1s as well, right? Are you filling out Form 1?
What's the Form 1?
I'll talk to you after.
Yeah.
Or Ms. Westmoreland, that's like a financial disclosure, it's very simple. Oh, you, okay.
Uh-huh. And then you just have to, there's a spot where you check that I have completed it.
I've seen that.
And then he'll probably be getting something, well, you get that mail from the supervisor of
I've already
election?
told you
Okay. All right.
Every year.
Every year.
And Ms. Westmoreland, let's see well, I don't think there's a question for her on that. And if Rob has to travel, if you can't find free somewhere, which we try to find free nearby, then he would get a per diem as well then? I mean, the rest of us get to, if we have to travel to
Yeah,
the
he
train.
does.
Okay. What about Bo too, right?
You can take it online. I took it online this time,
You can take it
and I like it because I can back it up and play it again if I don't understand something. It costs $89 because you become an official student of Florida State.
Wonderful.
And from that position, you can take any other courses that I want to take up there. It's a good deal.
Okay, let's see. So now it seems like the CRA is gonna, the CPA is gonna maybe have to be a little more involved with the annual reports.
Yeah.
But do you think much more involved in what he does for our financial reports already? Because they're regular. I'm asking because are we going to expect his fees to increase? That will
I
happen.
think his.
Well,
this
Courtney
is my
does the
opinion.
annual report, don't you?
Yeah, but this is giving him some other requirements as
Yeah,
well.
there's
on top of that.
more.
This is the audit.
Yeah, and it may be, there probably will be some, I'm speaking, I don't know, because, I want to speak for them, and, but I think there might be a little more fees because of the timing being different, right? Isn't it March and, the audit's a different timeline.
That's
They're on
right. The
different timelines.
financial audit is later in the year and the CRA is due in March.
Right, so that'll, if they're due at different times, I do think then he's gonna have to do some work that he otherwise out of step with his regular audit work. Hey, the legislature, they tell us what to do and we
Unfunded
do it.
All right, then maybe we'll see if we can ask him between now and the budget time or just throw a couple of dollars at it.
Maybe he'll just absorb it.
I don't know.
I don't see it being too much different than what we're already doing.
Okay, is there anything else, Mr. Hartman? Do you have anything else for us?
I don't, I did work up the stuff on the expansion, but we can talk about that at the workshop. Just, I'll run through the criteria on expansion. But
Okay.
we'll do that at the workshop.
Thank you. Do you all have questions for Mr. Hartman further on any other topic? All right, then we'll move on to,
Just a quick one.
okay.
May not be the proper time, but I think part of it was mentioned about the utilization of CRA funds for other departments within the city when they're working within or perform tasks for the CRA or within the CRA. That the CRA could fund part of that employee's expenses I don't mean on a permanent basis, so it's not what I'm saying, salary, cost. There's a lot of work that some of our staff is doing within the CRA. And they're funded strictly out of
The
general fund.
Mhm.
So that's a question I
We
have.
did that a couple of years, and you have to show that as a budget line item.
Exactly.
You could probably look back at some of the budgets and see that. And then Courtney and not Courtney, but Miranda and I had a long discussion with Ms. Westmoreland personally about that. And then even the CPA came when he gave his financial report, and they asked that you show, some type of, for the administrative, a desk side audit for the police department, exactly a log, what did they do, streets and roads, exactly a log, they want to know, what they're doing. So, and then our fund got to be where we couldn't afford it, and as well, we weren't able to get desk side logs and actual logs of work being performed out in the field, so.
Well, hopefully in the future, we may be able to afford it.
Yes.
And I see our general fund budget being strained and our demands on our staff being
Increased.
So that's the reason why I bring that subject up.
I understand. Any other questions? Okay, is there any public comment? Any public comment? All right. Public comment. New business, we have none. Old business, we have none at this time. So we'll move on into Mr. Russell Large with the Novio Consulting Projects. And he's going to tell us about the Northwest Avenue B revitalization project.
All right, thank you. I'll start with the agenda items in order. First, report on the completion of the punch list. There are outstanding punch lists. We updated the punch list today, sent that out to the contractor to highlight a few items for you. Still remaining, the stop signs need to be installed, and that includes the post and the stop sign at each intersection. The striping needs to be completed. That consists of the sharrows on the roadways. We're still waiting on an as-built survey. We understand that the field work for that has been done by Edwin Brown. We're expecting that survey as well. Desilting of the concrete ditch at 4th and B, that is remaining to be done. The inlet grate at US 98 and 7th, that was actually done today. It's done. And delivery of the milled asphalt, that also needs to be done. So I would like to coordinate with Courtney and Streets and Roads to make sure we have a delivery location for that material.
And I have a property owner, we've got a place identified, and I had a property owner today actually tell me we could put it just inside this property if we need to. Okay, we'll use from there.
Okay.
But we'll look at it and see.
Okay, great. There's some other items I didn't mention here. In total, there are 14 items. Okay, number 2 here, follow-up regarding repairs of damages to curb, gutter, sidewalk caused by delivery trucks and waste pickup trucks. The concrete has been repaired with the concrete epoxy, and the paint has been removed. We're continuing to watch how that epoxy performs. The last time I looked at it, it had not cracked. So I think that's going to be acceptable, ultimately. I can tell you that based on some pictures that the mayor sent to us, the truck path that we presented at the last meeting, which showed the blind side backing, mayor sent pictures showing the truck doing that maneuver almost exactly with the wheel path that was shown in our plan. So apparently that is resolved. The dumpsters were moved at one point, but then they're now moved back to the sidewalk. And, that may be a waste management operation who's doing that. So we'll be reaching out to them to see if that can be relocated. Also, I think we need to have that conversation with the owner to make sure those dumpsters can get pushed back away from the sidewalk. And if that's done, I think any future damage would be mitigated there. Feel free to jump in and ask me any questions here. Number 3, discussion and possible action regarding any requested change orders. Currently we have a pay request that's been submitted by the contractor. We found math errors in it, so we sent it back to them for correction. And there are 3 change orders, and I'll go through each of those. One is a quantity overrun for asphalt. However, we need to view the as-built survey to make sure that we agree with the quantity that they're asking for as an overrun. So we need to have that as-built survey in hand before we can make that determination. Secondly, there is an underrun of sod. They did not place the sod per the plans. A portion of that was done by a seeded mulch at a far less cost. So that change order is a reduction of about $11,600. The last change order is the final change order for quantity adjustments, which is also a reduction of about $13,000. So in total, from the last change order, which was approved, and that was to add the eastern part of the project, from that change order, that was number 7. $1,128,000 was the contract amount, and the current contract amount with all of the change orders I just mentioned and everything included that the contractor is asking to be paid for is $1,119,000. So it's a reduction in the contract amount. What they've asked to be approved for payment now is about $381,000. We have not approved that for payment based on the outstanding items to be completed. $111,000 of that is retainage, which we will also withhold. Okay, I tried to be concise on that, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I do. Does anyone else have questions? Okay, well, I want to say the good first. The IGA parking lot is being used. I mean, it's really being used, so that's a good thing. I asked the new IGA manager to come to this meeting today. I wrote down for him the time, location, phone number. Because I talked with them in the grocery store, he and the assistant manager, Richard. And Richard, in the presence of the manager, told me to expect that the curb on the north side, directly across from the IGA delivery apron area, will be destroyed too. And I said, but I see them backing in now the way that they should. He said it takes them 6 minutes to do it, and they don't have time to do that. And go ahead and expect destruction on the north side. And then the manager said that he had made the offer to do the entrance from the 8th Street on the west side of the IGA, and that they would pay for the part on their private property. But I discussed with him that anything that goes on private property, they would have to pay it. The grant would not cover anything on private property, and that we would have to have a change order and go back to the state for a change order with that if we were changing the project that drastically or adding a different something different there. So, and then on the dumpsters in the sidewalk, now you all may have noticed they moved the lift, private portable lift thing back where it needs to be. I asked Mr. Hartman to please send some letters to the owner of the land, the IGA owner, and the manager that they would be responsible for any personal property damages, injuries, bodily injuries, and anything if there was an accident, if someone hit the car, bicycle, whatever. And so they moved it. Once Mr. Hartman sent that, they moved it, and the manager complained about those letters. He doesn't think that they should have to keep that back on their property. But as far as the dumpsters, I wonder, should we send a letter, request Mr. Hartman to send a letter like that to the owners of Waste Pro? but they're keeping the dumpsters in the sidewalk, not in the street as much as the portable lift gate kept in the street, but.
Do you think that part of that's because they have so much stuff stacked up back there, they keep them much further? I mean, I know they keep them a little bit, but the cardboard boxes and the pallets that the IGA has stacked up is limiting them how far back they can
I
go.
know it's taking all their room. That's
And I
how,
understand that the cardboard prices are down, and that's why they're not selling the cardboard, but that's really not an excuse to have it back there.
put dumpsters in the sidewalk or on the right of way. I mean, even if the sidewalk wasn't there, the dumpsters would be in the right of way.
And they'd have plenty of room because they would just clean it up.
Well, in response to the idea of having an access from 8th Street, we did provide a plan for that. We got a price from the contractor, and they understood that they would have to participate in that, and we sent that to them, and we did not get a response back. But we do have a plan for that if that needs to be implemented.
But
Now-
to get the grant funding, would we have to go back through the whole environmental review and everything with DEO, or?
No, this is included in the grant area. It's in the area, so it would not.
is there a time limit to close out the grant with the DEO?
There is, and I need to ask Fred Fox about that. I think it's still open right
It's
now.
still open, but it's not for long. It seems like it's like September,
Right.
August or September.
I can find out.
So last I, go ahead.
It's close.
Close.
Last I heard, it seemed like there was about $35,000 left in the CDBG funding that they awarded us, somewhere around in there. It may be a little less now. Now, I know with the Hexaport building, there was, that was CDBG partially funded, and there was $65,000 left, and that remained in an account until now. We applied that, Mr. Fox, excuse me, the DEO gave us permission to apply that to this Avenue B project. Will the remainder of the CDBG funds remain in the account that we had to establish? Will it remain in that account, or do we have to refund that?
I don't know the answer to that,
Okay.
but I will find out.
Okay. And then now I do remember we had to give permission. Mr. Patrick Howard actually wrote us a letter saying that we could use that money on this project.
The difference in that money is that money was program income, and we already had it. Where this money is not program income, and it's not in our bank account.
But it's in the CDBG account that we set up.
How much?
Well, no, that wouldn't be true. I don't know how much is going to be left at the end of the project.
I thought we were down to just a couple $100 in the CDBG, and we had spent it.
That, it seemed like earlier this year, it was like 35,000. But we'll have to look at it and see. Okay.
Did I answer your question? I'm not sure that.
What about the dumpsters? Who's going to approach them? West Pro.
I'll be glad to.
Okay, all right.
And then Russell, if it's in Gulf or anything, you can send it out.
Okay. I think I should do that in conjunction with IGA as well, just to make sure that room is provided.
Okay. Is there anything else? All right. Anything else? Okay, then we'll move to, thank you very much for your report. Thank you for working with that, Mr. Large, and working with Paget Construction. I know it's been quite the experience. A year and a half later. Okay. CRA Board projects. Item 1, discussion and possible action regarding replacing mulch in all flower beds, landscaped areas in the CRA district. As much as we need it, I'm afraid to with only, projected a $7,000 surplus, I'm just, and you all have said it would, what, cost around $3,000?
I'm hesitant.
I know it, and we do need it bad.
And we don't, we're not there yet on paying the bills.
Mhm. So, maybe we'll know a little bit more. Miranda's really up to date with this, keeping this year-to-date up, so I can get her to print another one for our CRA budget and workshop, maybe get a little closer, a little better look at it.
She is good at keeping up with it.
And if
but
we can
also,
find,
I'm reminded on a regular basis that all the bills aren't paid either.
Mhm.
and if we can find, other places to get it from too. Cause I know the last time we done bags and we bought it locally from Jackson's, so. I think that was at $2 a bag, so if you see it, for $1 a bag at Lowe's, you might want to keep our eyes on
Okay,
there.
do you ever buy it in bulk? Have you ever bought it like that, like a truckload?
We have, but they said that was difficult to,
Move around.
we had a few people that didn't like it.
Okay. Is there any more, comment on that then? Okay. And then item 3, discussion of possible action regarding remaining needed repairs to the irrigation system in the CRA district, and that's pretty much the same. I printed out the cost somewhere, it's $12,000, I think.
I was the one that made the motion to expend the money that we did a while back, but I'm very hesitant, like I said,
Yeah.
at this point, within our checkbook, so to speak, and our bills not being all paid yet, I'm hesitant to spend more money that we don't know that we have.
I know it. And,
We had a lot of rain.
Yeah.
and we had to transfer $25,000 to be where we are now, an additional. The remaining cost that he has for the remaining 4 zones would be $12,500, and so that's something that I think that we would put in our budget workshop. So, is there any more discussion on that item 3? Then, okay, and then we have the other items brought forward by CRA board members. Do we have anything that we want to bring forward?
Just one thing I'd like to add on to go into, of course, it's going back on the agenda, back on the issue with the plant growth and visibility obstruction. Not only 67, but any of those intersections, side streets that are coming out or are being blocked. Look at those, ladies, look at those, because I think it's in the contract for this premium and all. But anyway, anywhere where we may have a hazard. Any place we may have a hazard.
Especially if you guys see it too, let me
Yeah.
know when he drives a bigger truck, he probably sits up, he doesn't notice it as much as someone like me in my little car.
Well, even as an example, what you said is a good point, but everyone doesn't drive a truck like I do that sits up high that can
That's
see
why I
over
said, if
something.
y'all notice a spot, then let me know.
Could any of those plants be replaced with a shorter growing plant and move the big ones back?
I think most of them can be trimmed, and the ones on 67 are a lily, and he says they're really
Yeah.
hard to
Yeah.
prune, but most of the other ones can be cut back.
I kind of agree with that. In the future, I don't think we can do it right at the moment, but that may be something we can look at in certain areas and not take away from the beautification, but change plants possibly. But that's something we could look at down the road. That's just a thought.
And that does cost, you know.
That's what I say, it's, yeah.
Whether it's our city employees doing it or hired gun, it's gonna cost. So, then I have, when I was reading the new House bill here that Mr. Hartman went over, and where it discussed the annual reporting and certain things, it motivated me to look back at our CRA website. I haven't looked at it in so long, haven't had time to monitor it, and I should more often. It's in some serious need of updating. And it needs the board members' names on there updated. We haven't yet put Commissioner Millender on there. And so that's 2 years behind. And the March 2018 and 2019 annual reports need to be on there. Our budgets for 2017, 2018, and 2018-19 need to be there. Our updated amended CRA plan of April 2016 needs to be on that. We've got the old original CRA plan that we did back in early 14. Our facade grant program overview that we did in September of 2014 is not there, and the building facade grant program application that we did in June of 14 is not there, and it should be there. So I have that list, and I'll provide that to Courtney, and that will add a little bit to the website, medium website budget. But by law, those things are supposed to be on there, so it won't cost that much, doesn't charge that much, about $150 to do something like that. And that's all I have. I will review with you just some things that we've talked about this year for the budget that y'all can think about. I'm not saying we should or shouldn't do it, I'm just giving you the list. Of course, we just reviewed the irrigation system. Do we want to repair those 4 zones? We've talked about replacing the Marine Street light fixtures, which might be up to $76,000. You know, we've just been over it. We've talked about replacing the aluminum fencing along Riverfront Park. And that's all I have for a short list. I mean, do y'all, if you know of anything else that I missed or we've talked about, you know, please share it so we can all think about these things for our budget workshop. And we have a quote. You weren't able to get a quote yet for the aluminum fencing, but we have for the other 2, we have the quotes.
And then we discussed whether we needed all new fencing or we just needed new brace and bracing fence. So I think that's going to depend on what we decide to do for price.
So we'll need to try to, if the commission, CRA board members want to do that, we'll need to try to have a price on that. And
I have a question. I guess this is for Dan. If we decide to expand the CRA and everybody agrees with all that, when would that reasonably be effective? Roughly. I mean, is that something that would happen next year or a year out, or?
It would affect the 2021 cycle.
That's what I thought.
Because we notify the taxing authority for October to September. So it wouldn't be effective until either really late 19 or early 20. So then I think we notify the taxing authority at that time, and then they would start paying us the increment in 2021. I'll verify.
So it doesn't have any impact on the next budget cycle?
No, I think you're going to be working on this budget off of the estimate they will give us. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have to approve that by ordinance. Is it by ordinance that we'll have to approve that, or how? If we do that, we'll take two hearings.
I'll run through that at the workshop. I'll give you all the indices of all this is. Yeah, the exact. The big deal is the taxing authority, and that we notify them. The county has they've given the counties a little more ability to engage with the city if they have a problem with the expanded area to justify that expansion. The big headache for us, not even a headache, it's not a headache, is what they call findings of necessity. So we have to detail why we are expanding into these certain areas, and yeah, and pursuant to Chapter 163. So, but no problem.
But in no event will the next budget cycle be. I mean, we should
No,
be thinking about.
as you're planning and budgeting
Right,
for 2020, it's locked in. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So then, if any of us or all of us come back with suggestions to where to expand, maybe we need to have it in our mind, why? What's the reason? What's the necessity?
And I'll share that with you now, so
Okay.
everybody can keep that in mind. And for the workshop is, if you want to jot this down, 163.340, number 7 and number 8. That's what we want to, they're both long definition sections, but one talks about slum areas, the other blight areas. And it talks about, for instance, obviously the ones that are near to me and things we have, we spent money on and have issue with is predominance of defective or inadequate street layout, parking facilities, roadways, bridges, or other public transportation facilities. That falls under blighted areas, those kind of infrastructure issues. Unsanitary, unsafe conditions. I mean, there's A through O of reasons that are considered blight, and then slum areas are A through C. As far as, and those are slum areas are not necessarily, as applicable in the city of Carrabelle. Talks about high density population areas, conditions that endanger life or property by fire or other causes, inadequate provision of ventilation, light, air, sanitation, and open space is the slum area definitions. But blighted areas, there's a lot that apply. And those are the reasons we would use to justify expansion, but we also have to do a study. So be more data driven. That's it.
All right, I'm just trying to think if our Triumph application to the Chimney Horn is doing, maybe they might have some data in there we could glean. See how that comes out.
Yeah, usually the findings of necessity, that is something that the consultants sell you. So not expensive, but there's thousands of dollars of expense there. It needs to be data driven, right? So it can't be just us saying, hey, we think this area needs help. We have to technically describe and lay out why. Like the stormwater facilities, we have issues because streets are overflowing and this and that. It's documented from an engineering perspective, a planning perspective, that sort of thing. So absolutely, we can get in the Morris Triumph application. Russell, depending on the areas, Russell has talked to us about issues we're having on roadways, and I'm thinking of things we've sat here and talked about, of stormwater climbing up, cooling up.
Can we use the fact that the county's cutting our resources?
No, I don't think that's one of the criteria, but following on to that, it's like the county's cutting our resources there, and so they're no longer fixing these problems that we have. And actually, I'll give a report at the next meeting, but I found some good stuff on the county issues. So, now whether or not they're actually going to step up for us, but the law is on our side on that, period. I'll leave it at that for now, but.
All right then. Is there anything else, folks? I appreciate your volunteer service, sir. Anything else?
My pleasure.
And the rest of you are basically volunteers because your pay is just like a stipend, so, but we appreciate it all of you. So can I have a motion to adjourn then?
Move to adjourn.
All right, we have that by Commissioner Melander. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, by Mr. Powers. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And can we give them all a hard copy of these 3 maps here so they can practice at home on their own?